again, I think the administration does have the flexibility. And if they don't, and perhaps it's easier for me to say this than Senator Blumenthal, but we attempted to give the president the authority to have the flexibility of picking and choosing, that there was no necessarily across the board cuts. And as you may recall, the administration issued a SAP indicating that the president would veto legislation that gave that flexibility. So one, I think that the administration does have the opportunity to make decisions about prioritizing spending within the FAA and within the Department of Transportation. But if they do not, they ought to be asking. I mean, the surprising thing to me is that this administration, this president, doesn't want or doesn't even ask for the ability to reestablish the priorities. My experience in serving in Congress with two previous administrations, and what I read from history, is every president wants more authority, not less. And the attempt to give the president the authority to make those prioritization decisions is something that they're not even asking for. You know, it's always hard to attribute motives to people in the decisions they make. I explained to you that Secretary LaHood indicated to me that he would like to be helpful, but the administration opposed the amendment. And his explanation was that we are only interested in long-term solutions, not short-term solutions. A very unsatisfactory answer when you're dealing with the continuing resolution, which is nothing but short-term solutions. The entire continuing resolution was about how to fund the government from now until September the 30th. So no satisfactory explanation for why the administration opposed our amendment. And it certainly has led to the speculation by many Republicans and Democrats that there is an effort afoot to try to demonstrate that the sequestration is something that is so painful that it cannot be accomplished without causing dramatic consequences. I would remind folks, as I've said before, I didn't vote for sequestration in the first place. I think across the board cuts are inappropriate, irresponsible. We ought to be having the appropriations process to prioritize spending. We ought to have the hearings that determine what we can afford and what we can't afford. I'm not here to defend the process that we're going through as far as sequestration, but I am here to say that there is a better response by an administration than the one we've seen to the circumstance that we're in. No one has explained to me satisfactorily why they would oppose taking $50 million from unobligated balances to keep air traffic control towers up and running. And in the absence of that, it lends itself to the belief that there is something else afoot here, trying to demonstrate in a political sense that sequestration is something that the country cannot afford. And again, hard to attribute motives, but I would say that that's the best explanation that I've heard. I have no other. And as I said in the debate on the continuing resolution, if the administration is trying to make the political point that sequestration is difficult to accomplish, very damaging to the public, to the American citizen, this is not a place to make that point. Let's have the debate about sequestration. Let's have the conversation about whether or not we can afford a reduction in the growth in spending. But let's not put those who travel in this country's safety at risk to prove that political point. So it is, to me, it certainly seems as if politics is playing the significant role in determining what actions the FAA are taking, and every indication that I have from conversations with my colleagues is it emanates from the White House.